Hey, welcome in, Jason Priester, ClemsonTigers.com. Monday live, coming to you from a different locale tonight. Um, but making it work, man, making it work like we always do. Just got this thing figured out how we was going to do it like 1 minute ago. 1 minute ago. So sorry we a little late coming on tonight. Clemson baseball sweeps, UNCG over the weekend. Lots of positive reviews coming in about the Clemson offense. It just, and not just from one person, two people. It just pretty much anybody you talk to, the results have been, or the reviews have been pretty good so far. Stuff you want to hear. And then Clemson basketball heading into the ACC tournament. Failed to lock up the 4 seed there on the road at Wake Forest on Saturday. I saw a lot of people extremely upset Clemson didn't win that game. Wake's 15-1 at home this year, man. Clemson was an underdog for a reason. It's basketball. Sometimes you just get beat. Clemson shoots 58% from the field. The second half shoots 60% from three, still lose. And I didn't think the defense was terrible, man. I thought they played pretty solid on the defensive end for the most part. I'm not saying there weren't any breakdowns here and there. Thought Clark did an excellent job on Salas in the second half. Sometimes you just get beat. So Clemson's the 6 seed. They'll play the winner of Boston College, Miami, which I'm assuming is going to be Miami. Not sure that's the best matchup for Clemson. Miami's a team that's vastly underachieved this year, probably one of the more talented teams in the ACC. So we'll see. And to get the, coveted late slot on Wednesday night. Not to mention the fact we had a big recruiting weekend, man. Lots of recruits in town. I've already touched base with a bunch of them. Clemson has 6 buses lined up outside of Death Valley on Saturday. We're waiting to take those guys from practice to the facility. 6 buses. That's how many guys were on hand Saturday. So whenever you see somebody come out with this list, all the recruits on hand say, yeah, nah, it wasn't all of them, man. You're going to need a lot of paper to list every recruit on hand. Some big names too, man. Tate Harris was back. Talked to him. David Sanders has been back. He wasn't back for junior day. He's been back since. Talked to Zaire Addison today. He was supposed to be in town today. Said a family matter kept him from making the trip. He will be back for the official visit weekend. Talked to Max Buchanan, another offensive line target. He won't be here this spring. He'll be here for the official visit weekend. It's a little bit longer of a trip for him. He's sticking close to home during the spring due to some camps and stuff. So wherever y'all want to take this thing, we'll take it. Today's my kid's birthday. I am somewhere where we're having a birthday party for her. Might not take it a full hour tonight. Definitely not going to run over. So whatever you want to get in, let's get into it. Do I have any ACC tourney predictions? No. I can see Clemson. If we're talking Clemson specific, I can see Clemson going one and done, and I can see Clemson winning a couple of games. It just depends on the matchup and how they're playing. And again, sometimes you just get beat. You can play well and get beat. Didn't think Clemson shot particularly well in the first half Saturday night. Thought they got a little 3 happy. Then I see all these comments all the time about how Brownell doesn't know how to make adjustments. They shot 10 3 balls in the second half. If that's not making an adjustment from the first half, I don't know what is. I didn't get to watch it that closely because I was at the baseball game and I was watching the baseball game and the basketball game at the second half. But at the same time, it looked like they moved Clark on the Salas at the second half, and that's an adjustment. Sometimes you just get beat. I don't know what Clemson's going to do when they get up there. Like everybody else, I'm just going to have to wait and see. Didn't hear much about Junior Day, this weekend's Junior Day. What's the latest? Who all visited? There were some pretty big names on hand. I had a list of them out Friday of all the name guys that were supposed to be in. Let me pull it up right here, right fast. I don't want to leave anybody off because if I start trying to go by memory, that is not going to be a good result. Let's see. Here you go. Here's some of the 2025 guys that were there. Defensive end Isaiah Gibson, defensive lineman Christian Garrett, 4-star DB Micah Matthews, 4-star linebacker Kamar Archie, who let it known early in the week that he was going to be there, which was a little surprising to me because I don't think he's visited Clemson in a while. I haven't really heard anything about him, and he kind of makes an appearance this weekend, then puts Clemson in his top 6. I already mentioned 4-star Tay Harris, the former Georgia commit. He was in town. 3-star wide receiver Tyler Williams from down in Florida. He was there. 3-star cornerback Caleb Lanier. He was there. Whenever Clemson starts deciding to expand the board, or if they decide they need to expand the board at corner, Lanier might be a name at the top of the list. Some of the 2026 guys that were there, 5-star defensive lineman Bryce Perry White, 5-star defensive end Ezekiel Harris, 5-star offensive lineman Maxwell Riley, 5-star offensive lineman Akeem Agboko, I think I'm saying that right, 5-star corner Samari Matthews, 5-star running back Savion Atur, 4-star offensive lineman Leo Delaney, who is a teammate of David Sanders up there at Providence Day in Charlotte, 4-star linebacker Thomas Davis, who went to the same high school as Will Shipley, and 3-star running back Dalen Upshaw from 3-star wide receiver Dalen Upshaw goes to Central there in Phoenix City, Alabama. Clemson's had a lot of success there. Then you had some in-state guys there, offensive lineman Desmond Green, running back Jalen McGill, wide receiver Jordan Gidron, wide receiver Malik Clark, and wide receiver Donovan Murph. Those are some of the names that were there. So, long list of guys that were there this weekend. Long list. And yes, I do think Junior Day is going to pay off again. I feel anybody that's in my Facebook group knows I feel really good about one of the guys that was there this weekend. Really good. If I was at home, I might be, it's all sunny outside. I might need to bust out the shades. So anybody in my Facebook group knows that. I think Clemson did some really good work with some of these 26 guys that were, on hand. This is when you really start to lay the foundation. They won't start handing out those offers until late May, the last couple of days, May, probably 1st of June. Usually it's not until the June the 1st. Last year they did it a day or two earlier, but this is when they really start honing in on some of those guys, and they know who the targets are going to be. A lot of those names I just listed are guys that'll have offers come the 1st of June. Great come from behind game Saturday with some good looking homers and run generating hits. Yeah, most of Clemson's wins this year have been in comeback fashion. They get down early and they have to come back. Got Eric Backenstein to talk a little bit about that after the game Sunday because they got down again Sunday. I think there's only been 2 or 3 times all season that they actually jumped out to an early lead and held it all the way through. So very acclimated to playing from behind, playing in high pressure situations, and maybe that helps them come league play and they're going to start league playoff with a bang this weekend. They got to make a trip to Duke, who is just absolutely mashing. Seems like every time they swing the bat, the ball's flying out of the park. Took 2 out of 3 from Wake Forest this weekend and knocked them out of the #1 spot in the D1 baseball poll. So that is a really good ball club they're going to play this weekend. Got 2 midweek games with Manhattan tomorrow and Wednesday. Rucker Reed will get to start tomorrow, probably more of a bullpen game. Probably see a bunch of pitchers in that one, and then Billy Barlow will start on Wednesday. Clemson's won 9 in a row since they got punked at home by Kennesaw State a couple of weeks ago. Kennesaw State went and did the same thing to Kentucky this weekend. They beat their brakes off Friday night and then beat them again. As a matter of fact, they beat their brakes off Friday night and Saturday. Took 2 out of 3 from them. So that loss is not looking quite as bad as it did at one time. Any predictions on the Tigers leaving the ACC in 2025? Look, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this because my opinions and my insights and things I've heard have not really changed. I've been saying for a while it's coming. It's coming. And probably sooner than people think. Yeah. I don't know if it's going to be before 2025. That paperwork's got to be filed in the summer sometime if they plan on leaving before the start of the 2025 season. So I'm not saying it's going to be that fast. 2026, I might lean more towards thinking that more so than 2025. But yeah, I think something's coming. Absolutely. I like this one. I wonder if being a source with knowledge pays with a whole lot of them talking these days about realignment conference. Yeah, if you float enough theories out there, man, one of them's bound to be right. You know, if you throw enough crap against the wall, something's gonna stick. That's why I don't talk about this stuff a whole lot because there's really nothing new to talk about. Except we can sit here and speculate about stuff. But there's nothing concrete to talk about. There's nothing getting leaked out of Clemson. And there won't be until they want something to be leaked out. How substantial is the growth we're hearing about Vizina? I have asked multiple recruits about this practice Saturday. This on top of what you've heard from the players already. I've heard nothing but good things about Klubnik and Vizina. The guys I've talked to that were at practice Saturday said the offense was moving the ball, picking up chunk plays, and it was both quarterbacks. Both quarterbacks. Vizina's getting reps now. He wasn't getting the number 2 reps last year the way he is now. He was basically the 4th guy, or the 3rd guy. But he's not getting those reps the way he is now. He's getting so many more reps, and he's going to be so much better because of that alone. Is he ready to start? I'm not going that far. I don't know. I've not seen him do anything other than go through a few drills one day. But yeah, I've heard really good things about the offense, about both quarterbacks, including Vizina. See, Klubnik is promising a big leap in the mental part of his game. That's where he needs to take a big leap in the mental part of his game. I think the game was too big for him at times or the moments were too big for him at times last year, especially in the first half of the season. And I think the game was still a little too fast for him in certain points. He still needs it to kind of slow down, and to me, that's kind of what I'm talking about when I start talking about mental stuff. But that's where you need him to take a big jump. You want him to take a big jump mentally. He needs to be one of the leaders on that offense that I think was kind of lacking some leadership last year. Um, you know, you look at him last year; he's just a sophomore. There's a lot of young guys. There were a lot of young guys on that side of the ball, a bunch of underclassmen. Those guys are a year older now. I think Klubnik is and will be one of the vocal leaders in that on that side of the ball. Having a guy like Vizina behind him, and if he's really performing as well as it sounds like he is, that's only going to make Klubnik better. You know, if Vizina can really push him a little bit. Is Cam going pro after this year? Are we talking about Cam Canarella? He's not eligible for the draft after this year. He's got one more year after this one. Intel on players moving up the ladder on offense or defense, any jobs being taken. We're like, I think they've had 7 practices so far this spring. I don't know about jobs being taken or anything like that. It's way too early for that. You're going to have some competition, at certain spots. I think Sammy Brown's going to be hard to keep off the field. He just looks the part. He looks the part. Looks like Keith Adams is pretty firmly entrenched in that backup running back role right now. I think there's going to be competition along that offensive line. It'll be interesting to see where Walker Parks is come fall, see if he can be 100% back from his injury. Otherwise, that's going to open up a spot. Obviously, the job at center is up for grabs. But as far as any jobs being taken, we're 7 practices in. We're a long ways from that being known yet. Any idea? Yeah, no. Rocky just did something to his thumb off the field. It's nothing. He'll be back really quickly. And no, before anybody asks me, no, I don't think you benched that guy. I'd love to see Purify on the field somehow, some way, but you don't bench the guy that's got the second highest batting average on your team to do it. Coming into the game yesterday, he had the second highest. Milwaukee had the second highest batting average and the second most RBIs on the team. He's not the guy I'm benching to get somebody on the field. Will Stellato participate in most all of the spring development? Just missed the game. Sounds to me like Stellato will probably take part in spring ball up until spring break, and that's probably when they'll do it, and he'll miss the back half of spring. Let me see if I can pull up schedule right here real quick, and I can tell you the exact dates. Here we go. 6th, 9th, 10th. All right, Wednesday, the 13th. That is the last day of practice. Before spring break, they'll take off and they won't return to practice until Sunday, March 24th. That's if I had to guess, that's probably when they'll do it. They'll get him in those first, whatever it is, 10 practices, and then they'll, if I'm remembering right, I think that's what Dabo said, and then they'll do it, and he'll miss the back half. I don't know how you put him at DH if Cam can't throw the ball. Cam's got to be the DH if he can't throw it, man. And I saw it Friday. He's not able to throw the ball. You got a ball hitting to the outfield, runners on base. They are in the process of running. He can't throw it to the infield. He's got to toss it to Taylor. Guys are running. He's got to toss it to Taylor to throw it in. I mean, that's where we are right now. Yes, Bryant Wesco has been getting rave reviews from anybody who's asked about him. They just, there's nothing but glowing reviews on that guy. Still needs a little bit of bulk, but he's going to help you this year, regardless, man. He's going to help you. He's a guy that can stretch the field. His speed just boom. It's the first thing that stands out when you start watching him run, man. He just can motor. Yes, I expect the receivers to be better this year. They got to stay healthy, though. What you said there, right there at the end, they've got to stay healthy, and that's been a problem going on 3 years now. 3 years. Clemson's had no luck keeping those guys healthy, and that's one of the things that needs to happen if this offense is gonna, take a big step forward this season. The top 4 or 5 wide receivers, give me the 2 freshmen, Brown and Williams and Stellato probably. Matter of fact, throw Randall in there. I think Clemson's going to have 6 productive guys. I think Cole Turner's going to help you. You're gonna, if you can keep them healthy, you're going to have more options. If Adam Randall can get healthy and get his confidence back to where it was before he started getting hurt, he can help you a lot. He's a guy that's got it. He's got it. I've seen it. He's got it. It's just not translated yet. Don't mean it will. Yeah, nothing but praise for Sammy Brown so far too. If anybody that listened to Wade Woodaz and Barrett Carter the other day, yeah, they were very complimentary of him, his football IQ, the way he does so much more than what's asked of him. He stays late, he comes in early, those kind of things. He does more than just what's mandatory. He's doing everything he can to soak up as much as he can. I think he's going to be hard to keep off the field. Is Tristan Becerra a freshman? Tristan Becerra is a redshirt sophomore. He's from right there in Greenville. JL Mann. I don't remember that he was real highly recruited. I mean, I don't think he was like this top 200 player or anything, or like a 9. Didn't get like a grade 9 from Perfect Game or anything like that. Had himself a heck of a weekend though. That's actually who Clemson put up for Player of the Week from Clemson this week was Becerra. improved line play is going to help everybody take a leap forward. Receivers, quarterbacks, just hope everything I'm hearing turns out to be true. Yeah, it starts up front with me too. That's how. If you can get the offensive line playing at the level that I think it's capable of playing at, I think it just trickles down to everything else. And this is another group that's gotten nothing but high praise so far. Those guys just, they rave about Matt Luke when we got to talk to the offensive lineman last week. You hear the running backs, speaking very highly about offensive lines coming together. You got to like the things you're hearing coming out of camp. And even more so, you got to like the fact that you're hearing it from players so you know it's not just coach speak. That is coming from strength and conditioning. Yeah, I don't know that to be true. So, same strength and conditioning coach in place now that was in place during the playoff run and going back forever. I don't know that to be true. I know everybody wants to find a reason for it, and strength and conditioning is one of the reasons people like to banter about. And I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying there's no way. I don't know that that's the case at all. No, I don't. Again, it's the same strength. They got the same guy running the strength and conditioning department now that was during the playoff years. I don't know that anything's different there. So, I don't know why they'd all of a sudden strength and conditions. All of a sudden, the reason why one position group's getting dinged up so much, and it's just one position group really. I think Clemson was very fortunate over that playoff run, man. From an injury standpoint, they just was able to avoid that injury bug, and it's kind of caught up to him a little bit. Yeah, I think Clemson's got plenty of depth at corner. You got Sheldon Lewis, you got Avion Terrell, and those are young guys, man. You got Khalil Barnes can play corner if you need him to. Jaden Lucas has kind of been the forgotten man because he's been hurt. He should be good to go by the time next season rolls around, by the time fall camp rolls around. That's the hope anyways, because that guy, he's as talented as any corner on the team. There's golly, I'm starting to draw a blank. You got Rob Billings, who I think's got a lot of potential. Any cornerback Mike Reed brings in gets the benefit of the doubt with me. He is such a good evaluator of talent. Anybody that he brings in, they get the benefit of the doubt with me. I'm trying to think of who the other corners. I'm gonna have to come back to that in a minute. I don't want to. My memory's getting very bad here. If I start naming names, I will absolutely forget somebody. All right, here we go. I got it. Don't forget about the two freshmen, Tavoy Vegan. I know Corey Gibson gets all the publicity because he was higher rated. Tavoy Fegan's got an extremely high ceiling, man. They called that dude the seatbelt in high school for a reason. So you got Terrell, Gibson, Lucas, Fegan, Shelton Lewis, Brandon Strozier is another guy, and Ashton Hampton is also another freshman that's coming in. So yeah, I think you got plenty of depth there. Long, a lot of length, a lot of athleticism at corner. I know we received crystal balls for John T. Gilbert and T. Harris. Chances we actually land both of them. Um, this is. I do not expect Clemson to land John T. Gilbert. It just seems to be heading in a different direction. Now, that might change at some point, but right now, we sit here today, March 11th. It looks like it's going in a different direction. I love where Clemson sits with Tay Harris. I actually got to speak to him on the phone Saturday night, fresh off that visit. I really like where Clemson sits with him. He's only got one other spring visit planned at this point, to Ole Miss on the 30th. We'll see if he makes it out there. I'm not saying he won't. I'm just saying we'll see. Not saying he's going to pop off and commit to Clemson in the next day, 2 days, 3 days, week, or whatever. But I like the way this one's trending. We'll see if he makes it as far as official visits. He had some family in here with his mother loved it. He had some other people that came in here with him that he leans on heavily who really loved it. You don't bring all those people in here unless you're serious about the school. So I really love where Clemson sits with Harris. And for those that don't know, he was committed to Georgia for a long time and backed off that thing in January. Clemson offered him right after that. And he's, Mickey Kahn's recruiting him hard. Pitching in early innings worrisome. Coming back against better teams is hard. I don't know that I'd call it worrisome. When we start getting on pitchers for giving up a couple of runs, man, that's going a little over the top for me. It's like yesterday, Clemson got down 2-0. Is to me the recipe's not always getting down every time. Maybe you want to start scoring a little earlier. I don't think the starting pitching on Saturday and Sunday's been bad. I think Tristan Smith's been fantastic. He didn't have his best command Saturday, walked a few more than he normally does. But when he needed outs, he got them. I thought Canuck was good again yesterday. Again, he just does not look like your typical freshman. And Gordon's only going to, as he's had one outing where he pitched like a full outing and threw a lot of pitches. To your point, no, you don't want to always be in playing from behind, but I don't think that necessarily means the pitching in the early innings is worrisome. Again, if you fall down 2-0 early, let's take Canucks line from yesterday. If I'm, or let's take Tristan Smith's line from Saturday. I think he gave up 2 runs, and he gave them up early, if I'm remembering right, or 2 earned runs. It's hard to hammer a guy for giving up 2 runs in a start, in a quality start, or it's hard to be too critical of that. Let's put it that way. And I think the pitching's going to get better as we get into the season. And now that you've got your rotation probably where you want it at. I like it with Gordon on Friday and Canuck on Saturday. I mean, Smith on Saturday and Canuck on Sunday. It gives you the righty, lefty, righty, and then Barlow in the midweek. I really like that. Yeah, Joey Batson is still over the strength and conditioning department at Clemson. Yes, Tay Harris is a guy that can play corner or safety. He think Khalil Barnes, man. He can do both, but he's probably better suited to play that role Barnes has played in the defense last year. So he gives you a lot of options in what you can do with him. Really wish everyone would look at the great moves we've made, good hires, good class coming in, great days ahead. Yeah, I like the hires that Dabo made. You know, I've said it a few times that probably had a little bit too much inexperience on that staff at one time. Um, and he went out and made a couple moves to address that over the past couple of years. I'll also add this, I think Dabo's kind of earned the right to do it his way, and not every move he makes is going to be the right one. And as long as he's willing to, you know, when he thinks he's made a bad move or a bad hire or a hire he's made it and working out, and if he's willing to address it, I think he's proven he's willing and able to do that. Just look no further than Streeter, only in that role for 1 year as offensive coordinator. Thomas Austin only the offensive line coach for 2 years, and I don't think Thomas Austin's a bad football coach. I'm not necessarily sure he was the greatest fit for what Garrett Riley wants to do on offense, and not sure he's got the recruiting chops just yet to be the O-line coach at a school with the pedigree of Clemson. But as far as just football coach, I don't think he's a bad football coach. Maybe just got that job for him a little bit before he's ready. But yeah, man, and then add Chris Rump to the equation because, I think Clemson's kind of fallen off in recruiting defensive ends outside of, TJ Parker or before the 2023 class. Clemson the defensive end recruiting had kind of fallen off a little bit. Guys maybe weren't quite developing the way they were, a few years back. You go out and bring in one of the best. Yeah, I think both those hires have been home run hires, man. I love the 2023 class. I love the 2024 class, and the 2025 class is looking like it's going to be maybe the best of the three. I thought Clemson got some value. I know the 2023 class was only 10th, 11th, whatever it was, and at some of the rankings, but I think Clemson got some value with some of those guys in that class. I really like the running back Jay Haynes. I really like Jarvis Green. I still believe Noble Johnson can be, productive and help this team. And there ain't a whole lot I need to say about the 2024 class. It's guys like Wesco, Moore, Christian Betancourt. I like all those offensive linemen, man. I even think Watson Young can be a good center for you. It might take him a couple of years to get there, but you don't need him to come in here and play tomorrow. So I do think Clemson's kind of back on track to maybe get back to competing at the highest level. Are they going to win another national championship in 5 years? I don't know, man. Georgia seems to have lapped everybody. You're going to find out real quick exactly where Clemson is in that first game. But I do think they're on the right track to taking the necessary steps to make improvements. Don't forget, if you have not done so, we ask you to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If any of you guys are out there are business owners, man, and you like the content we bring, you want to do some kind of sponsorship, we're looking for some sponsors. Reach out to me. That's how we do that. That's how we're able to do what we do, sponsorships and advertising. I mean, I'm even thinking about putting a name on this show, man. So if you want to put your name on this show, I can set you up. You can reach out to me, reach out to Sack, and we will put the wheels in motion. Here's the question, man. Can CV step in and be the starter if Cade goes down? I don't know if anybody knows the answer to that yet. If Cade were to go down with a season-ending injury, say in game 2, that's probably worst case scenario. I don't know if he's going to be ready. I thought he was a guy that was going to need a minimum of a year. He's already had that, even though he didn't get a ton of reps last year. So if you don't get a ton of reps, maybe that year minimum you need kind of stretches into 2. But I've heard nothing but really good things so far, man. If you watch him, he's got all the tools. He's got all the tools. He's got all the physical, tools needed to be a good quarterback at this level. It's just putting it all together. And some guys, some guys are ready today. They step foot on campus. Some guys it takes a year. Some guys it takes a couple years. I don't think we know the answer to that one yet, and probably won't. We might have a better idea of it midway through fall camp. TBD, to be determined. Hearing Clemson may lead for Davis Sanders. How you feeling about that? I don't know who leads. I would say it's the Clemson Georgia battle, and I would absolutely say that I feel way better about Clemson's chances today than I did in December. I don't think Clemson was far from just about falling out of it. The Matt Luke hiring has totally changed the complexion of this thing. Kind of gives me Sammy Brown vibes. During that recruitment, some of the chatter was Clemson led. Then there was all this chatter that came out that Georgia was leading, and then it swings back the other way. The further you get in it, the closer you get into it, get to his commitment. So it kind of, in that regard, reminds me a little bit about the Davis Sanders recruitment. Reminds me a little bit of Sammy Brown's in that regard. He kind of grew up rooting for Clemson, calls Clemson his dream school, and then Clemson kind of falls out of favor because they go 8-4 last year. The offense is taking a big step back and took the last 3 years, and then all of a sudden Dabo goes out and makes these moves. You get him here in January, things are starting to look up again. He's already back again, and now you let him go to watch practice to see for himself that the offense is moving in the direction that he wants it to move in. So yeah, I mean, I like what Clemson's done here. I like how they have positioned themselves. It ain't over till it's over. We all know that. But I do think they have positioned themselves to be probably one of the top 2, and it would not shock me in any way if they were the last team standing when it was all said and done. I just think Matt Luke's had that kind of impact. And not just with Sanders. Josh Petty's set to be here this week. I'd have to go back and look at the exact date. I can't remember. He told me, but might be tomorrow. A guy like him, I'm not sure you get him back on campus if Matt Luke's not hired. I'm not sure you're getting Zayari Addison back on campus if Matt Luke's not hired. I'm not sure Braden Jacobs is already committed if Matt Luke's not hired. So he's already having a major impact on the recruiting trail. Do you have any concerns with any position coach when it comes to recruiting? Seems like we're in a good spot. No, I like, I know Tyler Grissom catches a lot of flack from the fans, and I understand why, but that guy just went out and signed 2 of the best receivers in the country. I don't know. I don't have a big problem with Clemson staff right now the way it's positioned. I do think I said late last year one time, if it was me and I was looking at the staff and I was going to make some changes, I'd probably start with defensive end. And sure enough, Dabo ends up making a change there. And it's not because I don't think Lemansky Hall's a good coach or anything. I just think the talent level had kind of fallen off a little bit, and I think needed to be addressed. And I can't remember what I said back then, but I'm thinking I said offensive line would probably be number 2, and that got addressed too. 3-2 counts after 0-2 counts worries me. How many 3-2 counts have you seen after 0-2 counts? I mean, I'd have to see the numbers. It's baseball. That's going to happen sometimes, man. I think we've gotten to the point where we just overanalyze every single thing. And I fell victim to it myself earlier in the season with the basketball team, man. You know, I jump on live, man, and start killing them for not being able to finish, and they go off and win in Chapel Hill the next night and win like 5 out of 6 or 6 out of 7 and make me look like a damn fool. But I just think we gotten to the point where we overanalyze every single little thing, man. Pitchers are going to go 3-2 after on 0-2 sometimes. It's going to happen. I've not really kept up with that. I don't remember it happening all that much, not so much to where it's worrisome to me or anything. You know, I think it might have happened with Smith a couple of times the other day. I don't think he had his best command, but I don't think it's happened very many times to him before that. You got a freshman starting on Sunday. I don't know, man. I don't know what you want to see. Pitchers, college baseball is weird. You get 2 weeks of practice before the season starts, man. These guys are still kind of getting into gear, and you got one of the best pitching coaches in the country. You just got to have him giving time to get everything straightened out and being to where it can be. I think you got some talent to work with. I've just not seen anything that's just overly worrisome to me yet. I wasn't even worried about Billy Barlow, and I'm still not. You play baseball long enough, you're going to have a start like he did against Kennesaw State. And again, he wasn't the only one they lit up that night. If there's one pitcher on the staff right now that I'm worried about a little bit, it's Nick Clayton. That's who I'm worried the most about right now. He's struggling with his command. Unlike anything we've seen since Bakich and Bellinger have been there. But I don't know. I'd have to see how many times they've gone to 3-2 counts after getting ahead 0-2 before I can say it's worrisome. I just don't remember it happening a whole bunch. Set the game as Seger when they tied it in the ninth, stole all the momentum. They have absolutely proven they can play from behind. The moment doesn't seem to be ever too big for them. They don't panic. And they just keep grinding. Don't know that you want to always play from behind, though, and that's kind of been the way this team's played so far this season. But yeah, it should. You know, that the way the season started and the way those guys have shown a propensity for being able to come back from early deficits, I think that'll serve them well once they get into conference play. People who complained about Dabo's family and friends program are now convinced to boost him recruiting as more proof Dabo should have never hired former players. Dabo's earned the right to hire who he wants to. That's kind of how I look at it. If he doesn't hire the way he hires, you don't ever get Tony Elliott. You don't ever get Jeff Scott. I can go on, but you kind of get my point. They're just not always going to all work out. And I just think we got to a point we got to a certain point where there was just probably too much inexperience on the staff at one time. I don't think it's because necessarily that any of those guys are bad coaches. I just think they just had too much inexperience at one time, and you didn't have a guy like Matt Luke who could. No, I'm not going there. Never mind. Let's just say you didn't have let's say on the offensive side in that offense room, there was not enough veteran voices, enough veteran presence, too much inexperience. And once that snowball got rolling, man, it's just couldn't stop it. Again, I think Dabo's kind of earned the right to hire who he wants to hire. And I kind of commend him for quickly recognizing that, hey, this move's not working. This move's not working. I got to rectify it. Again, Streeter strayed in that spot for a year, and he probably didn't get a fair shake, to be quite honest. Offense kind of improved dramatically under him as opposed to the year before. Didn't get the best quarterback play that season. So, there's a lot of things that were probably a little bit out of his control. That's neither here nor there. I do give him props for rectifying a couple of things that weren't working and rectifying them pretty quickly. But, yeah, when it comes to some of that message board fodder, man, there's that's why I don't spend much time on message boards. They're just so toxic now. And the people that moan and groan and bitch about everything are the loudest voices in the room. And I don't know, it just kind of ruined that. It kind of ruined message boards for me. Yes, the spring game is April the 6th, and I'm sure it's going to be streamed on the ACC Network Extra or something. I don't think it's televised technically, but I think it's streamed on ACC Network Extra. Don't hold me to that, but I think that's the case. April 6th, though, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see. I had the schedule pulled up, but I backed out of it. Yeah, April 6th. Thoughts on live scrimmages like the NFL preseason? I wouldn't mind seeing maybe like the Furman game or the Wofford game, that one FCS school they play every year, maybe moving that to the spring game. But that's about it as far as, preseason games for me. You're fixing to expand the playoff, and they're already probably fixing to expand it again. And for everybody that wanted all this expansion, now you're fixing to see why I've been so against expansion. And it's number one, because I didn't think we needed it. I don't think there's been more than 4 teams yet that are capable of winning it all, not in any season since the playoffs started. And number two, the SEC and Big Ten is going to take all the power, and they're fixing to start taking all the money. The revenue gap's only fixing to continue to grow. And at a certain point, they're going to freeze everybody out of that thing. I know right now the ACC's got an automatic qualifier, but if you don't win the ACC, your chances of getting an at-large bid into the playoff, man, you better go 11-1. So I don't think you're going to get in with 2 losses. They'll take a 3-loss SEC team before they take a 2-loss ACC team. And now we're seeing that the SEC and the Big Ten are wanting to, keep a bigger chunk of the money and let the ACC and Big 12 and the little conferences split what's left. It's just we're heading down a bad road. But that's not what you asked. Anyways, we're fixing to already start getting more games for a bunch of schools, and I don't think you need a bunch of preseason games. I wouldn't mind seeing the FCS game move to the spring and use that as a spring game, like a souped up exhibition or a glorified exhibition, but that's about it. Strongest competition for Josh Petty. I'd say Auburn's in it, Georgia's in it, Tennessee's in it. Maybe Georgia. I definitely wouldn't call Clemson the favorite. He is from Georgia. He's one of the, he's probably one of the top 5 offensive linemen in the class. He's probably a top. I was going to say he's a top 50 talent. He might be ranked inside the top 30, but he's easily a top 50 talent, man. If this visit goes well, I could put Clemson back in the conversation. That'd be great, man. That'd be great. If you can land Petty and Sanders, Jesus. $2026 QB. Yeah, I don't know anything about him. I'll be honest with you. I've just now started to turn the page to 2026. This junior day from this past weekend, when Clemson brings in a bunch of guys from the upcoming class, that's kind of when I start to turn the page, and I'm not familiar with him. So 2026 guys that were there Saturday were Brody McWhorter was there. He's a 2026 quarterback. Don't know if there was another one there or not off the top of my head. But no, I'm not familiar with him. We got us a new member, Mr. Dusty Gold. We very much appreciate it, man. Very, very much appreciate it. Tay Harris sounds like a tiger already on X-Way bus. Yeah, I'm just, I'll just say, after talking to Tay Saturday, I feel really good about where Clemson stands. Really good. I'm coming. After last season, it doesn't matter if you do win the ACC championship. That doesn't guarantee you a playoff spot. In the expanded playoff, the ACC champion automatically gets a spot. The ACC, Big 12, SEC, Big 10, those conference championship winners get AQs. David Ijamame, he is at the practice that I was at, and granted, it was one of the first because I was not able to go to the second and third one that we were allowed into because I had a death in the family. But he's way down the pecking order right now. It looks like Keith Adams is firmly entrenched in that third spot. I want to say Jarvis Green was taking the third string reps. Jay Haynes wasn't there that day either. But Ijamame was like 5th in the drills that I was watching. Don't think he'll stay there for long, but I can tell you his speed is legit. He's got it. Runs up. He runs a 10.89 100 meter. He's got legit speed, man. Legit speed. Last one. If you're on Facebook, there's a private group out there. It's called Clemson Tiger Junkies. There is already a pair floating around in there. Don't forget, man, if you have not done so, please hit that subscribe button. Very much appreciate it. Hit that, like the videos, share them out, all that good stuff, man. I'm going to jump off for tonight. Appreciate everybody that tuned in once again. We've had some pretty good crowds for it being the off season here the past few weeks. So I want to thank all of y'all that tune in every Monday night, and we will do it again right back here next week. Paul Talk Thursday. We're going to do it early in the day, probably noon, before the basketball gets good and started. We don't want to take anybody from basketball. So if you're around about noontime on Thursday, we are back with Paul Talk this week. If I don't see you then, I will see you next Monday.